I wanted you to take a look at how the Iron Dome is working, but before we do that, take a look at this map here. This is put up by the IDF. Millions of Israeli civilians are running to bomb shelters as sirens across the country are heard. And you can see all those red spots. And these missiles are getting better and better and longer and longer. They don't have yet some of the missiles that got close to Jerusalem. But look at Tel Aviv on the northern west coast there. Look at Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is the population center of Israel. It's a very modern city, like one of our modern cities. Why are you aiming missiles at Tel Aviv? How come there's almost no talk in the media about them targeting population centers? They're not targeting military sites or anything of the sort. They're hitting population centers. And there's a town outside of Tel Aviv, which we'll show you in a moment, called Lod, as I said. Now, the Israelis are using the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome was developed first jointly with the United States as we were building our Patriot systems. But the Israelis on their own have actually significantly advanced the technology of their Iron Dome, even beyond our defensive missiles, although they are providing the technology to us so we can upgrade ours as well. But we have a Congress that doesn't believe in spending money on defense in a way that can defend this country because they think we'll never be hit with missiles like this. In any event, I want you to see in part how their Iron Dome works. Go.
I've traveled to Ashkelon, the coastal city just south of Tel Aviv that nudges up against the Gaza Strip.
This town has been hammered by Hamas. It's a coastal town, as you see. It's a relatively small town, and several deaths and many injuries have occurred in this town. Go ahead.
What we're seeing here right now is the launcher. Each launcher has 20 missiles on it. You can see the red light flashing, which means it's armed and ready.
Here, one of the dozen or so Iron Dome batteries sits at the ready to intercept missiles and provide Israel with a type of shield from aerial attacks.
I'm the Iron Dome commander.
Lieutenant Colonel Liran Cohen oversees its operation.
Is this as close as we get, or do we get...
This is as close as we get.
It took just 3 years and about $200 million to develop this defense system. It relies on a radar that instantly detects when a missile has been fired. Algorithms quickly try to determine what type of projectile is in the air and whether it's heading for a populated or strategic area. If so, Iron Dome launches a missile of its own. It's said that Iron Dome has taken down more than 1,000 missiles since it turned on in 2011.
I want to stop here. Some of you who are my age, or even younger, this was the brainchild of Ronald Reagan. It's called the Strategic Defense Initiative. And it was brought to the president at the time. People in his own party were skeptical. People at the Pentagon were skeptical. The media hated the idea. We had article after article about how it was technologically impossible for a missile to hit another missile. And the Democrat Party tried to block it. But Reagan was, if anything, he was steadfast. And he pushed the project. It wasn't fully funded, but he pushed it throughout his 8 years as president. It was pushed somewhat after that. We now have this defense system. They called it Star Wars to mock him. Oh, sure, we can do this. And I remember reading in the New York Times and other publications how we simply didn't have the technology. It was impossible. And of course, as you're developing technology, you have to try it out. And they tried it out, and there were several failures. And again, they were mocked for the amount of money that was being spent. Now, I want you to think about this. This is a defensive system. They could knock a nuclear missile out of the sky that's aimed for one of our cities. And the Democrats never supported it. The media never supported it. That's insanity. Now it exists. They have 12 batteries, they said. When my family and I were in Israel, a couple of years ago, I was taken to see one of these batteries. And they're as simple as you can see. And they are mobile. They will hitch it to a truck and you can drive. The brilliance of the Israeli system. They need mobility, they need flexibility, and they need to perfect weapons because they don't get a second chance over there. And so it's called the Iron Dome. One of the things Talib and AOC and Omar and the others, the Marxists in the Democrat Party, of which are many, they want to cut funding to Israel. They say cut their military funding. A good chunk of the funding Israel gets, it uses to advance their technology. Not for bullets, some, but to advance their technology, which they then turn around and give to the United States. So it's really a two-way street. The Israelis can develop this stuff faster because their bureaucracy and their people understand this is life and death. There's an immediacy to it. Whereas in our own country, we have obstacle after obstacle after obstacle to getting these things done, including in the bureaucracy, but also the Democrat Party and the media. Go ahead.
Some people question the accuracy of these figures. What's clear, though, is that the algorithms capable of directing projectiles while performing a cost-benefit analysis on human life are among the most advanced in the world. This network of launchers is highly mobile and constantly on the move. This site, like many, is temporary.
Everything you see here can be moved out in a matter of hours. And we move around a lot to make sure nobody knows where we are all the time.
Unless you live here, it's difficult to imagine just how much this technology has transformed the lives of ordinary Israelis.
I can tell you from my own personal experience, sitting in my own house and seeing rockets fired towards my house and operating this incredible system and succeeding. With the Iron Dome, when you see your house that you're protecting and your family and your friends and your soldiers, it's a sense of great sense of pride.
Now think about if they didn't have this technology. How many Israelis would be dead today? Thousands and thousands. And these missiles are being fired with the hope that many of them get through. I've heard and read that it's about 90% effective, so missiles can get through. And this is why the Israelis cannot tolerate a nuclear-armed Iran, because even if one gets through, it takes out its cities. And the regime in Iran is quite capable of a mutual assured destruction. So this is a big problem.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.